Hey all, Bobby here. You know, as I was editing this morning's video, which features Rich Beem, wherein he details exactly what he would do to hit the short bunker shot versus the longer bunker shot, a couple of things hit me that I think are worth sharing. And this will provide, I hope, some insight into some of what I've gleaned from working with Rich these last few weeks. And that is primarily, when you talk to a full-time instructor, such as myself, and ask them how they do so-and-so, we speak broadly along general lines about how the average person should approach it, and not getting necessarily specific in the way that we would if we were working one-on-one. When Rich talks about how he does this or that, he's speaking on behalf of one man in the crowd, and that man is himself. And the results of his teaching are just those things that he's learned along the way. He's done it wrong enough times to where he's eventually figured out how to do it right, and he knows what works for him. And you get the sense when you listen to them that if you could show him a better way and prove that it's better, then he would adopt your method. No problem whatsoever. He's not dogmatic in his training. Now, the other thing that you figure out in a hurry is that he, like the rest of us, is a very human being with human faults and tendencies to err, and that he, like the rest of us, must stand on guard against himself for falling asleep at the wheel. And he talks about, in fact, in this video, the need to accelerate, saying that, you know, you can do everything right, yet forget to accelerate, and the whole thing goes to smash. And so, watch this video. I think you're going to learn something, and if I can do anything for you, you let me know. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bobby, and I have with me Rich Beem. Rich, how are you, man?
I'm finer than new money.
Well, good. I'll tell you what. You have agreed to demonstrate for us. I was watching you hit bunker shots. How to hit them short. I mean, most people know how to get out of a bunker, or at least in theory. I'd like you to demonstrate, if you don't mind, how to hit one short and then turn right around using the same club and hit one a little farther. Looks like we've got a flag 25 feet away and one about 60.
Yeah, you know, again, I think I've learned a lot by watching some of the best in game. I think Luke Donald was probably one of the best I've ever seen. Jason Day was one of the best I've ever seen. And I couldn't watch Jordan Spieth because there's no chance I'd ever be able to do what he did. But, you know, it's just kind of about, I think most of it's about the setup and what you're doing with the lie of the face. And what's interesting is that when we were kids, I think everybody said, open it up like this and put it up in your stance. And for short shots, I'm just, you know, open up the blade almost as much as I can. And then short backswing, but accelerating on through. And it's always, you have to always accelerate. You can't ease into a short bunker shot. So what I see a lot of amateurs doing, Bobby, is they'll sit here and they'll just try and they'll try and short and chase it out there a little bit, or they're short back and they accelerate through. If they go, you know, it's
once in a while.
It's just not smooth. So I think the biggest thing is, again, this just comes from practice and trust, is where you got to open the blade and you got to give yourself just a little bit of speed.
Yeah.
And I've got enough pace to get it out. And conversely, when I want to go a little bit further into the green, a little bit longer shot, I'm kind of taking the same motion. The only thing that might change, length of the backswing, but I'm going to excel a little bit further up, but I'm just not going to open the blade of my club up as much.
Okay.
So instead of being wide open here, I'm going to shut it down where it's a little bit more square, and then it's, so when you take the loft off, it makes it go forward. And you can use this if you want to have some fun with it later on. You don't have to take your most lofted wedge. I've got it says 60, but it's a 58. You can take out your 54, 52, or even 50, so you don't have to square up the blade as much, but it's still, you always have to accelerate to get this ball going further. And even short, accelerate, but just have more loft on the club. And the best thing to do, though, is get in here and just work at it. And sometimes, you know, come, see you, take a lesson to kind of figure out what folks may or may not be doing well. But again, I think that a lot of the amateurs, they open it up and they stay in back trying to lift this thing out. No, you got to get on your front and you got to stay down and through it and blade it just across the green. Look at the spin, though. Look at that spin. That thing, woo!
That's right.
It's just getting in here and having fun. I think that any professional you ever see on TV, yes, they've got good technique, but the reason why they've got good technique and they're so good is they've spent hours and hours. I remember in 2012 when I was on the European tour, I was struggling with my short game, especially out of the bunkers. So I just decided, you know what, every single week, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to spend 2 hours every day in the bunkers and around the greens. And this got a lot better. It got a lot better. And again, it's just because I also fell in love with the big swing. This is where you're going to save your strokes. This is where you're going to make the cuts. This is where you're going to make your money in and around the greens. And so I just forced myself. And what I did was I found out that I had a lot of fun coming into these bunkers. And it took me a very long time because when I first started off, I was
You're one of those guys. Huh?
I was one of those guys. Ball was back and I'm staying back to try and hit it up, protecting myself a little bit, but I was never on offense, staying here and going after it. So you just got to get in here, swing at it, and trust it.
That's the best lesson that anybody could have. Yes, there's technique involved, but if you don't put the time in, if you don't have real trust, characterized by belief as you stand before a shot, it's hard to get any kind of result.
That's exactly right.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for being here with us today. I really appreciate it, and I hope that's helpful. I know it will be. We'll see you next time. Great man.